Dead by Daylight just had their dream collab get added to Dead by Daylight. One of the most wanted collabs to ever be added. Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And after this collab came out, everyone had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I thought Jason was a very fun killer to play. And this made me want to watch the Friday the 13th movies. So I did. I watched all 12 and a half Friday the 13th movies. And this made me realize that the collab that was added to Dead by Daylight kinda sucked. If you haven't played the chapter, basically what we got is the killer being Jason Voorhees. I don't think he's legally Voorhees, I think he's just Jason, but it's Jason. With his base design being based off of the Jason Universe design. You've probably seen this design. It was the same one that was added to Fortnite. And this design is fine. It's pretty similar to the remake design, I think. His mask is pretty controversial. It's more of like a sharp shape, more sharper than it usually is, with kind of square eyes. And a lot of people don't like it. I think it's fine. It's an okay mask. It's okay. It's fine. And that's the base design for him. And it's fine. It's fine. His power, I think, is kind of dumb. His main power is that he has a hook. He can grab the hooks from the hooks in Dead by Daylight, and he can throw them like spears at the survivors. Which is a cool power, but I feel like Springtrap already did this. And I feel like Jason, this isn't a Jason thing to do. He's never done this. Except for one time, he has done something like this. In Jason X, that's the only time you see something like this happen. In Jason X, the one where he goes to space, that's the only time this power is used. So it's kind of a dumb power. His secondary power is pretty Jason-like though. He can basically teleport wherever he wants and jump scare as he either vaults through a vault or breaks a pallet. And I like this power. It reminds me of all those times in the Friday the 13th movies when he crashes through a wall or something. That power is pretty cool, but his main power, the hooks, are dumb. He doesn't do that. And then he has a Mori, which is pretty cool. He guts them with the hook and then burns them, which is also something that he's never done. He's never pulled guts out of someone. We never see guts in the Friday the 13th movies. He just does something more quick usually. He just kind of hits them with the machete and they die. It's over. He doesn't have big elaborate kills like Art the Clown does. So I don't really like the Mori for this chapter either. And then he also has skins. The first one is called Backwoods Terror. And it's him in kind of a farm outfit with barbed wire kind of stabbed into his arm. It's kind of cool. It's not inspired by much, I don't think. Maybe the barn aesthetic could be kind of what he looks like in the second movie, but he doesn't have the bag head, so it's just an original design, basically. Then he has the Death Forsaken skin, which looks pretty similar to Backwoods Terror, but has bones sticking out that you can clearly see, and seaweed on his mask. So it's kind of inspired by his look in part 7, The New Blood, when you can clearly see his bones and he just drowned, so he is pretty underwater-y, I guess. And then speaking of underwater, he has the Depths of Despair skin, where it looks like he just lives underwater now. He looks so underwater-y. It's kind of inspired by part 7 and 8, I think, because in both those he is just soaking wet. And that is all we got in this chapter. No map, no legendary skin or anything like that. That is all. And as you can tell, I don't really like this chapter. I think they could have done better. They do have a copyright situation going on, so they can't do certain stuff. I don't think they can really have anything from the movies, maybe, besides some stuff. But I still think there was more that could have been added. So in this video, I'm going to go over what should have been added, and what still can be added to this chapter, and just, yeah. Starting with... this chapter had no survivors. If this chapter had a survivor, I think it should be Tommy Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis was the final boy in 3 Friday the 13th movies, which is the most a character has reoccurred besides Jason Voorhees and his mom. He is basically the Ash Williams of the Friday the 13th universe. So I think he would be a good survivor. His base skin would probably be him from part 6, Jason Lives. And then he could have a skin that makes him look like how he did in part 5. Probably not part 4, since he was a child in part 4. And then I think he should have had a legendary skin for Tina from part 7, The New Blood. She's the final girl of part 7, and she has superpowers. She has telekinesis. She can move stuff with her mind, and she can tell the future. I think she is the best final girl in this franchise. So I think she deserves to be in Dead by Daylight somehow. And I think it works as a legendary skin for Tommy Jarvis. And I think that's all Friday the 13th could really do for survivors. None of the other main characters in this franchise really stand out to me. And none of them really reoccur. So now let's talk about the... Jason's skins that he came with were pretty good, I think. But I think there could have been some better options they could have had. Or just more options they could have added. And that I think can still be added and should be added. I want to see them. The first one is a skin where he has a bag head. Just instead of a mask, he has a bag covering his head with 1 or 2 eye holes just in there. As kind of reference to what he had in the second movie. Because I don't think we can just have his design from the second movie. I think if we could have had movie designs, we would have had them. So I think we have to go with skins that are like skins from the movies, but aren't them. Like the ones that we got. So I think we just need a skin where he has a bag as a head. Maybe some other farmer clothes. Maybe like overalls, if that's not too trapper-esque. Maybe even a pickaxe, because he used one in that movie. And that's not one of the weapons he has in his skins yet. I think he just has a machete and an axe right now. So a pickaxe could be cool. Then the next skin he needs a skin that has a mask that has the axe wound on top of it. On top right, just an axe wound. In the movies, this started in part 3, when the final girl of that movie axed him in the face. And that axe wound in that mask continued until part 7, when that mask was destroyed. And then part 8, it came back. Somehow, I don't really know why, this guy just had a hockey mask that had that wound in it. It didn't make sense for it to come back, but it did. And then it came back again in Jason X, when it definitely didn't make sense for that to be there. I don't know why that was there, but he had it again. This axe mark is iconic, and I feel like he needs a skin that has this axe mark. Maybe if you want to be copyright safe, the description of the mask could just say, ooh, it's a machete thing from when he got stabbed by a machete. If you don't want to, you know, mention any of the stories that happened in the movies. Because it doesn't have to be an axe mark, it just needs to be a mark right there. And I just need a mask like that. Then I think we need a Savini Jason skin. If you don't know what Savini Jason is, it was basically just like fan art made by Tom Savini, who was the makeup person for the first 3 movies. And it was fan art for Jason Goes to Hell. That turns Jason into like a devil. He has fire all over him, and he has a pitchfork. And this design is really iconic. It was in the game. It's in Forsaken. And it's just pretty popular. And I think it needs to be in Dead by Daylight. I think they are able to just add this design in Dead by Daylight. I don't think it's really owned by anybody, because it's never in a movie or anything. But if they can't get this exact design, they should just make a design like this, where Jason is on fire, and maybe he has a pitchfork. And I think that would be a pretty cool skin. It might be pay to lose, because it would be very bright, but you know, it's still really cool. Then, I think Jason needs a skin inspired by Jason X. Jason Goes to Space. Obviously, we can't have Uber Jason, same reason, but just a space skin like that, where it's all sci-fi looking, it has like a metal mask, advanced stuff like that, maybe some blue lights. Just a cool looking, sci-fi looking skin for him, I think would be really cool. And I feel like he kind of needs the red eyes too. The red eyes are probably the best feature of the Uber Jason design, and I think it would be cool if he just has them back. All I want is a space design with red eyes. Then, another legendary skin that we know they have the rights for is a skin for Ghost Jason from Never Hike Alone. I don't know why they have the license to this, but the creator of Never Hike Alone said that they did. So I want it. Look how cool he looks. I want that. And this brings up something else. If Dead by Daylight has the rights to Never Hike Alone, which was a short film, if you didn't know, from YouTube, then they should have the rights to everything in that movie, right? Which means that they should have the rights to a survivor from that movie, right? Which means that they should have Tommy Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis was in those movies. So couldn't he be added to Dead by Daylight with some loophole that he's the one from those movies, since they have the rights to that? I don't know, I think they should be able to. I think Dead by Daylight could get the rights to that Tommy Jarvis, I'm pretty sure. It's old man Tommy Jarvis, so it's not as good as the one from part 6. But an old Tommy Jarvis is better than no Tommy Jarvis, and I always say that. So I think this Tommy Jarvis should and could be added to Dead by Daylight. I don't see why he couldn't. And I also don't see why Jason can't have Pamela Voorhees. Pamela Voorhees could be a legendary skin for Jason. My only problem is I don't really see how that would work. Because Jason has super strength, so it makes sense that he could grab a hook, rip it off the hook thing, and throw it across the map. But I can't really see Pamela Voorhees doing that. But I think Pamela Voorhees should be in this game somehow. because they should have the rights to her. She's gonna be in Crystal Lake, which uses the same Jason design that's in DVD. So they should have the right to her. So she should be added somehow. Maybe even as like a voice thing that Jason hears in game to make up for the fact that he doesn't have voice acting. Wouldn't it be cool if while you're playing as Jason, you just hear lines like,
"They weren't paying any attention to you, Jason. Make them remember. This is your home, Jason. Protect it. Don't let them escape. Find them. Make them remember. Look what they did to you, Jason. Kill them."
That'd be so cool. I feel like it would add way more to him, and playing as him would just be so much more fun. I could also see her maybe being a charm, maybe her severed head as a charm. It might be too big, but it would be cool. Because he always keeps around her severed head and talks to it. So it could be a cool charm. I don't know. Pamela Voorhees should be in this game somehow. And do you know what should also be in this game? This chapter didn't have a map. Crystal Lake wasn't added as a map for some reason. But I don't see why the hell not. Because the Crystal Lake TV show, we don't know much about it, but I'm sure it has Crystal Lake in it, since it's called Crystal Lake, and it uses the same Jason design. So we should have rights to Crystal Lake in Dead by Daylight, shouldn't we? I don't know, I feel like we should have Crystal Lake. Maybe it could be a map like the Five Nights at Freddy's map or the Saw map, where they kind of just make their own original Crystal Lake, but then add in some of the most iconic and best parts of it from the other movies. Like the archery stuff, the docks, and the severed Pamela Voorhees head. And maybe the rest of Jason's house from Jason Goes to Hell and the remake. I don't know, I feel like we should have the rights to Crystal Lake, shouldn't we? Because we have the rights to the same Jason from that TV show. So Dead by Daylight could have Crystal Lake, I think. I don't really know. I don't really understand it. But yeah, those are all the things that I think should be added to Dead by Daylight. If you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments, because this is an interesting subject, I think. And that's all for this video. So goodbye and go to sleep. It's late right now. Sleep. Bye bye.